Well, we are back from the winter break here at Lokomotive Leipzig, still undefeated so far this season, 13 points clear on top of the two Bundesliga table, but this time last season was when things went to absolute custard. Hopefully that's not the case in today's episode, with two trips away from home in the Cup against Mainz and to take on Augsburg. As well as that too, there's been a fair bit of transfer activity. Hello everyone and welcome to episode 57 of the Leipzig Loko with Lokomotive Leipzig here on Sean Does FM. I hope you are doing well, and coming up today we play a third round tie in the DFB Pokal, travelling away to take on Mainz from the Bundesliga, and off the back of that we play our first game back from the break in the two Bundesliga. We take on Augsburg, currently down in third but 16 points behind us on that table, so if you're looking forward to those two games coming up off the back of the winter break, as well as a bit of a transfer window update, and do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. It is greatly appreciated. But we've just played the one competitive game off the back of yesterday's episode, the last one before we did hit that winter break. We picked up two more wins against teams formerly from the Bundesliga in that episode, so if you missed it, I'll leave a link to it over in the top right corner. And obviously we did stay undefeated in that final game. We took on 1860 Munich off the back of a week break. For some reason, I've really weird time for that, seeing as it was the last game coming up before that break, but thankfully we just got a goal in the first half of the year through Osman Tilgan, which did mean we picked up 3 more points. It's now been a long time since we've dropped any points here at Lokomotive Leipzig. Game we did dominate just enough, could have been a better result there for us, but a 1-0 win still means that we pick up 3 points, and as I said, it does mean that coming back from the break in the two Bundesliga, we are 13 points clear of Bochum and a further 3 points back to our opposition in today's episode in Augsburg, albeit they were a team who held us to a draw back at home in the opening game of the season, so that one could be a bit of a tough one, especially only a few days off the back of taking on Mainz in the DFB Pokal. But before then, and before we preview those two games coming up in today's episode, we have had a bit of transfer activity happen in the first 11 days of this January transfer window. One player has departed the club here at Lokomotive Leipzig, and one other in particular has been sought after by teams in particular like RB Leipzig, Filthy Old Ant. So we're going to have a look at the transfer centre and let you guys know exactly what's been happening, and it really starts over on the out page. A few players have left us, one on loan and Tobias Stumpf, but Sungbin Kim had a contract expiring at the end of the season. He had come to me a little while ago wanting to go out on loan. Thankfully we had a chat to him, and he did not want to leave the club at that point, but he came back again a few weeks later and he did decide he did want to leave the club, and with that contract expiring, it did mean he was not going to sign a new one here at Lokomotive Leipzig. So he made a pre-contract agreement to join Daegu at the start of the next season, and because of that, I did feel like we'd try and get some money for him while we could. So Sungbin Kim did go to Daegu early back in South Korea for £180,000. Did a really good job for us as the backup to Daniel Cueto when he was here, but Sungbin Kim has left the club a little bit unwanted, truth be told. Would have been nice if we could have kept him round, but with him not wanting to sign a new contract here and having signed one with these guys anyway, we decided to cash in early and get some money onto the books here at Lokomotive Leipzig, and that was helped out by the fact that we did find a decent replacement for him in Salah Ulad Imhand. He was available to trial and then on a free transfer, 24 years old from the Netherlands. Truth be told, some attributes not as good as Sungbin Kim, but overall he is slightly better in terms of adding up all those attributes for that role as an attacking midfielder on attack. Has previously spent some time in the UK system, in particular Nottingham Forest, Huddersfield, Cardiff and Arsenal, and before then he was at Feyenoord. 3-star current ability, 3.5-star potential, so based on star rating should be a little bit better than Sungbin Kim, but he joins us as a new backup attacking midfielder in behind Daniel Cueto, and that is all that has happened, thankfully, in terms of the first team coming back from the winter break, but we were very close to losing a couple of other players as well. I say a couple, in fact it was just one, and it was our best player here at the club, in our goalkeeper in Titus Krapikas. We're going to go over and have a look at his contract details because this will be if things do pick up with him. For clubs in higher divisions here in Germany, he has a minimum release clause of £71,000. RB Leipzig did trigger that sneaky old Ange, so because of that, we did have to do some sneaky stuff there to try and keep him at the club. Thankfully, it did work. We offered him out to some other clubs for a fee just a bit higher than that, and one club came back and put in a bid for him of £825,000. Thankfully, that was the club that Titus did choose to go to, and then we did cancel that transfer before it could go through, so it does mean that Titus Krapikas is still here at Lokomotive Leipzig, albeit is still wanted by RB Leipzig, so if they come back in, they could still find a way to get him for well under market value, but thankfully for now, Titus Krapikas does remain a Lokomotive Leipzig player, and also quite a few of our other players here at the club are wanted by some interesting clubs, including the backup goalkeeper Matthias Haasmann. For some reason, Barcelona want him, and I'm really not too sure why, with that current ability and potential, just leading Regional Liga, the 4th tier here in German football. Has definitely done a decent job for us when Krapikas has been injured, but for Barcelona, that does seem like a very strange player to want to come and sign. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, transfer value isn't that high. We'll see if that is indeed just a load of nonsense during the course of the rest of this transfer window. So there's a bit of an update on what has happened off the back of yesterday's episode. Still unbeaten off the back of that win over 1860 Munich. In fact, we did actually lose a friendly against Young Ajax while keeping our players fresh before coming back from this winter break. I scheduled a few more friendlies this time around to hopefully stop what happened last season, where our form went off a cliff off the back of coming back from the winter break, and that did start with a loss in the 3rd round of the DFB Pokal. Hopefully today that won't be the case, having got by Bayern Munich in the 2nd round. This tie does look a little bit easier, albeit it is again against Bundesliga opposition in Mainz. These guys, though, weren't in too good a form before they did head on their winter break. 3 losses before they picked up a win over Union Berlin and then a draw against Borussia Mönchengladbach. Obviously, these guys a lot further down the table than that Bayern Munich team that we did pick up a win against in the 2nd round. Also interesting to see their Eintracht Frankfurt are actually really struggling this season, our senior affiliates. Hopefully they don't get relegated. Not that it's going to make too much difference next season if we continue our form in the 2 Bundesliga, as that affiliation will get cut off anyway if we do play in the same division, but these guys aren't doing too well, so hopefully we can make the most of that and make our way through to the quarterfinals for the first time in that competition, and then off the back of that, hopefully we'll still be unbeaten this season and can take on an Augsburg team, as I said, who did take points from us in the season opener at our home ground. Mario Götze is doing a decent job with the pre-season favourites, albeit they are down in 3rd and quite a way behind us, but away from home, that could be a tricky game, especially only a few days off the back of that 3rd round tie in the DFB Pokal. In terms of our squad coming back from the winter break, thankfully no injuries, but we have played our rotation players quite a bit in those friendlies that we have scheduled to keep players fit and in particular get those guys a bit more match fit, so it does mean our bench is quite injury prone, so hopefully won't have to call on them too much during the course of this first game in particular, but our starters are in very good condition coming back from the winter break, so hopefully we can put out a good performance and make our way through to the quarters for the first time. We'll come back shortly and hopefully get the job done as we take on Mainz away from home. And here are the team sheets for this 3rd round clash in the DFB Pokal. There are Mainz. They are going with 5 at the back and 2 defensive midfielders, 3 up front, including Carvalho as a striker, which is interesting. Very interesting formation there from the Bundesliga outfit. You'd expect them to be a bit more attacking against the team a division below, but we of course are in excellent form and full strength in terms of our squad going into this one, and we'll hopefully make our way through the quarters for the first time. And just shy of the 15-minute mark, the first highlight in this game is a throw-in to Mainz inside of the final third. Of course, with these guys at home, they are in the red with the white shorts. We are also in our usual home uniforms. Stiller there makes his way deep inside the box. Thankfully, plays that one back to Van Drongden, and now Hero will put that one into the mix. A decent block though, and Krapikas can claim that one. So far, it's been a pretty even game. 1 yellow card to each side. Ours picked up by Racine Bullock, rather predictably being the ball-winning midfielder, a role which picks up a lot of yellow cards, but we clear that one, and Mainz are back in possession. Stiller on the ball, started to make his way forward, plays that one out to Harold on that left-hand side. He puts it into the mix of Kunga there with a header. Thankfully, that long highlight doesn't amount to much, and we're still locked up at 0-0. And with 10 minutes left in the first half, we eventually get the next highlight in this game. Since you were last here, one player for each team has picked up another yellow card. Ours was picked up by Tom Gall, so potentially a few subs there we might need to make at half-time. Still there with a shot. It comes off the post too, looking for that top left corner. Thankfully, doesn't quite find its way into the back of the net. Still 0-0, but now a corner here for the opposition, but thankfully Krapikas, the big lad, still in goal for us, and thankfully not our crosstown kind of rivals, not quite yet, but it might be next season. He claims that one, pumps it deeper. Tilgan actually wins that. It goes forward to Krasnicki. He will try and play that one across, but unfortunately it looked like it might have got deflected, and it can be cleared there from Mainz, but thankfully Collie plays that one up to Campanelli, and we start to make our way inside of the Mainz half, really, for the first time in a highlight that we have seen so far. Nice ball there, though, from Daniel Cueto, and Yakuba Salue puts it away really nicely. Our first big chance so far in this game, puts it bottom right corner, and that will make it 1-0. We are just going to do something there to make sure that I don't demand more like I did going in to that highlight. We'll cancel that so we can give them a praise and keep the morale nice and decent, unlike what would have happened if we demanded more off the back of taking a 1-0 lead over Bundesliga opposition. But that was nice there from Cueto, nice ball, and Yakuba Salue picks up his 15th of the season and gives us a 1-0 lead late in the first half, albeit now down the other end here for a free kick to Mainz. Thankfully, Collie will head that one away. That pass does go straight through Campanelli, and Mainz here will get a chance to try and grab an equaliser before half-time. We try and put a bit of pressure on there. Harold, ball over the top for Bolillo, big chance, but Krapikas gets a good hand on that one to just put it wide. A big save there from our Lithuanian goalkeeper gets him up to a 7.1, but another set piece here for Mainz before half-time. Thankfully, Gale on that yellow card can clear that one away, and there's a foul there inside the box, and that should be it for the first half. A pretty even game, but thankfully Salue tucked away that big chance that we had. Mainz was certainly on the front foot a bit more based on the highlights that we did see, but it doesn't matter. We go into the sheds with a 1-0 lead away from home against Bundesliga opposition, so this time got off to a better start than we did in that Bayern game. We're going to take off those players on yellow cards, so we're going to bring on Lucas Search in place of Tom Gale. Of course, he's been there as a ball-playing defender before for us, before Tom Gale did arrive, and also Chaiwa can come on for Racine Bullock. But pretty happy for the scoreline. Would be a bit useful if we could get on top of these guys a bit more in the second half, but it doesn't really matter as long as we make our way through to the next round, the quarterfinals. And so far it's looking good. We'll get things back underway with a 1-0 lead. And coming up to the hour mark in this one, no highlights so far in the second half. Still a very even game. Unfortunately, Chaiwa picked up a yellow card early in the second half, but a few players out there are struggling rating-wise, so because of that, we are going to make some subs. Dorenzo only on a 6.3. We'll bring on Yuri Bass. Hopefully he performs in that role. Lately, he hasn't been in the best of form, so hopefully that changes today. And also Davida for Krasnicki, who is struggling just a little bit as well. So that's now 4 subs used with a half hour left, but we're still 1-0 up. And we're just about to make our way into the last 15 minutes of this game. No highlights so far in the second half. Omar Colley's actually on an orange injury, which is a little bit concerning. But I think what we're going to do here is take off someone else. Hopefully Colley can last. Of course, we don't have any centre-back backup on the bench anyway, so we couldn't take him off if we even wanted to. But we're going to take off Kachella on a red heart, playing quite well on a 7.1, but Warrington can come on for him. There will be our last sub, and we are still, of course, up by 1-0. And very shortly off the back of that last substitution is a throw-in here to Mainz, albeit deep inside their own half, and we do win that one back there through Chaiwa. Now Davida starts to make his way onto the edge of the box, unleashes a shot. To be fair, that one looked like briefly it might loop over the goalkeeper, but in the end it goes wide. It is still 1-0 in our favour as we start to enter the last 10 minutes, and time for a little bit of time wasting to try and hold on. And just into the last 5 minutes of this game now. It's been a very, very quiet second half, but we don't mind that off the back of taking a 1-0 lead in the first half late on. Only a couple of minutes left here of injury time. It's been a very even game, but thankfully we pick up a win in the third round of the DFB Pokal for the first time. That goal to Salue late in the first half make sure we do go through off the back of a 1-0 win. Really nice assist there from Cueto, who picks up an 8.1. Also Krapikas, a good save, I believe, right off the back of that goal being scored around about that time anyway. Otherwise, Mainz might have grabbed an equaliser, but thankfully, first game back from the winter break this time, it looks like we've come back in a bit better form than we had last season. We pick up a win over Mainz, which is good, of course, having beaten Bayern Munich in the previous round. If we didn't win that, would have felt like a little bit of a waste, but it does mean for the first time we will be going through to the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal off the back of a 1-0 win. There you can see the other teams who will make their way through. RB Leipzig are not one of those teams. We're the last Leipzig team who are in the DFB Pokal this season. That will teach Ange for trying to pinch my goalkeeper for well under market value. Before we do come back for the second game in today's episode, just a bit of an injury update, of course, with Collie being on an orange injury, thankfully, only out for 3 to 4 days, and Campanelli as well picked up a bruised shin, but is also not out for too long. We pick up some good money and should get a bit more when we play our quarterfinal later this season, and we go through that round for the first time off the back of a 1-0 win, and hopefully we can still be unbeaten when we take on Augsburg in our first league game back from the winter break. And we are back with the team sheets for our first game back from the winter break in the league, taking on the Augsburg team who held us to a draw in our season opener at home. And this is now a bit of a banana skin game for us. Big changes at the back with those players who got injured in the cup game, not recovering. And also Dorenzo is not in the squad. He also picked up a training injury, not even on the bench. So Gaima on the bench as left back. Back up in our back four is Bas, Gal, Search, and Florian Hux. This is certainly not ideal, but hopefully we can still perform and stay unbeaten. And 10 minutes into this one, we get the first highlight. It's a throw in here to Augsburg, wearing very similar colours to our opposition in the previous game. These guys, though, are in all red. They try and pump that one deep. Thankfully, Gal does win that one in the air. Lucas Search, certainly an able backup coming in for Omar Colley, but a bit worried about our wing-backs, especially on their form so far this season. In particular, Florian Huxa. Campanelli has been great in that right back role compared to him. A little bit iffy there with the ball. We are quite a few 50-50s here in a Tilgan there with a loose touch. Samasaku plays that one over the top for Shulanov. Darko Shulanov buries that one bottom right corner, and it is not the start we want here away from home. We go 1-0 down after 11 minutes, and maybe already starting to feel the impact there of those players coming in, albeit that was a Tilgan with a loose touch. But before then, I think down the other side, Florian Huxa did give the ball away, and a bit slow tracking back there. That's not encouraging signs, and we go 1-0 down early. And only a couple of minutes off the back of that opening goal, it is here again Augsburg who are on the front foot with a thrown inside of the final third. Yet again, Darko Shulanov gets the ball left far too open there. It's that side that Florian Hux is on. He is a player at the moment who is not helping his causes so far, have not renewed his contract for next season because he has not been in good form, and I'm starting to think that is justified. Way too far from his man there, and Shulanov picks out the top right corner this time, and we are 2-0 down early. And off the back of a dreadful start in this game at the 26-minute mark, we eventually get something potentially here in our favour. A thrown inside of the opposition half. Good work there from Cueto, and now Kachala puts that one into the mix of Krasnicki with a chance. That one comes off the post, then gets brought down, but no penalty. Koulibaly there with a legal challenge. That's the closest we've got so far to putting the ball in the back of the net, but we are still at 2-0 down. And only a few minutes shy of half-time, yet again we might be trying to make a comeback in this one before half-time. Still 2-0 down though, definitely need a goal before we do head into the sheds to try and get some confidence going in to that second half. Huxa plays that one forward to Krasnicki. We do of course have Campanelli on the bench. He is just not quite on a full green heart. He might be coming on at half-time for Huxa on a 6.4. We try and play a ball over the top there looking, I think that would have been for Krasnicki. Can't quite link up. They clear it deep there, do Augsburg. Thankfully our defence tidies things up. Now Huxa plays that one forward to Krasnicki. Good ball forward there for Daniel. Cueto squares that one for Yakuba Salue. Tucks away bottom right corner. And that's exactly what we wanted. A few minutes shy of half-time, we get a goal back in this one and hopefully can put them under pressure in the remainder of this game. That's exactly what we want. A few minutes shy of half-time, Cueto squares that one nicely for Salue. He picks up his 16th for the season and gets us back in this one at 2-1. And in fact, there's one more highlight here in this first half, although Augsburg here find a lot of space down their left-hand side yet again through Shulanov, albeit good work there from Gal. Somehow finds its way in there for Shulanov again. Thankfully, his shot goes just wide. It is still 2-1, but one more highlight as 2 minutes of injury time does start in this first half. Bullock, He picks out Krasnicki, unfortunately, bit of a poor pass there, and Koulibaly can tidy things up now. Timo Horn is on the ball. We'll pump this one deep, trying to look there for Demolovic. They try and find Shulinov there down that right-hand side of theirs, or our right-hand side. Thankfully, Huxa did recover that one. It did eventually fall to him, but good work there from Bullock. And now Salue plays the ball over the top here for Osman Atilgan. What can he do? Squeeze that one for Cueto Adachi. Finds Krasnicki, and he buries that one also, that bottom right corner. It's 2 goals inside a few minutes, just shy of half-time. And now the second half is set up oh so nicely. We started this game off absolutely terribly, but have come home with a wet sail in this first half. Cueto just gets impeded there a little bit, but the ball runs through and Krasnicki will tuck that one away, and we go from being 2-0 down to this game being 2-2 at the break. XG-wise, actually, we look quite healthy in this game, but that first part of the game, we were really on the back foot, 2-0 down, just shy of the 20-minute mark, but thankfully a really good finish with those goals there to both Salue and Krasnicki, and it is 2-2 when we will get the second half back underway. We are going to make some changes though at halftime. In particular, we'll take off Huxa for Campanelli. He's just not been good for us so far this season, but I think that might be all we do going into the second half off the back of that strong finish, and hopefully we can kick on at the very least, stay unbeaten as we get the second half underway, now locked up at 2-2.
Yeah.
And only a few minutes into the second half, we have to bust out the rigger for the first swallow in a while in the Leipzig Loko, because unfortunately Yuri Bas has picked up a red injury. We could bring on Francis Gaima, but Tom Gall can play left back, and I think Monlouis might be a better player than Gaima, so because of that, I think that's the sub we're going to make at this time. Monlouis comes on for Bas, and Tom Gall can go out to left back, but not a good start to the second half off the back of that strong finish to the first, but it is still at 2-2. And just past the hour mark, and we are just checking in on some player fitness, and also Tom Gall has picked up a yellow card, so Atilgan's down to a red heart. Triple B will come on for him, and it's probably a safe option here to now bring on Francis Gaima. There will be 4 of our subs used, but still 2-2 with a half hour left. And we go forward to the 69-minute mark. Nice time here for the first highlight in this second half. It is though a throw-in to Augsburg. They play that one back to Timo Horn, and to be fair, is a long way out of goal. If we can win this one soon, he might still be off his line, but unfortunately Samaseku there does quite well to keep the ball for the home team. Now Maya just holds things up, plays that one back to Reece Oxford. Usually quite a thorn in our side, but so far today, not up to much. But Shulinov has definitely been a thorn in our side, plays that one back there to Duggan, gets a shot off, takes a big deflection, and Samaseku with a shot, which also takes a huge deflection, and Augsburg go back in front. That feels like a very unfortunate goal to concede, but unfortunately, we are back behind in this game with 20 minutes left. Dagan there with a shot. It comes off a teammate, forced to Samaseku, and that comes off, I believe, that was Monlouis, and finds its way into that bottom right corner, which has been absolutely peppered down that end so far in this game. Of our last substitution, we'll take off Kachala on a red heart for Warrington, but off the back of going 3-2 down with only 20 minutes left. And only a couple of minutes off the back of that goal, which put Augsburg back in front. They do have a throw in here, but good work there from Warrington off the bench, and now Baker Boerty plays that one forward to Salue. Krasnicki briefly lost possession there, wins it back. Good chance, but unfortunately misses the target. And with 15 minutes left, we might be on for our first loss of the season. Still 3-2 behind. And we are late in this game now, and do have a late highlight here, albeit it is in favour of Augsburg, trying to seal this one at 4-2. They do have the ball now inside of the final third. Square it, and Demirovic somehow gets that ball that goes past Monlouis and puts it away. And I think that's going to make it 4-2. And that will be all over Red Rover. Prior to that highlight starting, we had gone attacking and also upped our defensive line. Thankfully, though, that goal has got ruled out for offside. It did look like a very close run thing, and in fact, he is just a foot offside. So thankfully, we are kind of still in this game and can hopefully keep our undefeated season on track. While we are here, we'll put a few more players on support duty as well as attacking duty. But as you can see, we've done pretty much all we could up until that point anyway, and we might also move to a much higher defensive line and see if we can just camp inside of the Augsburg half for these last couple of minutes and maybe create a chance. But unfortunately, we are going to suffer our first defeat of the season. It is the first game back from the winter break, at least in the 2 Bundesliga which is a little bit concerning, but we won't worry too much about that one. Obviously, it was quite an even game. A little bit unlucky there because our XG was a bit higher, but that start was just absolutely dreadful. And also, we did have some quite key players in defence who did miss this one through some minor injuries. So hopefully that is the reason that we do suffer our first defeat of the season. Certainly not a terrible performance in terms of the scoreline. Just those first 20 minutes, we weren't really on our game. Florian Huxer might be a player who does not have much of a future here at Lokomotive Leipzig the way he's going so far this season. And we suffer our first defeat 3-2 away at Augsburg. And to be fair, based on form, you could kind of see that one coming off the back of that 1-1 draw they did pick up against us on the opening day of the season. Back at our home ground, it does mean we are now only 10 points clear of Bochum on top of the table, but still that's a pretty good gap with only 16 games left in the season. But we suffer our first defeat 3-2 away at Augsburg. And of course, we did actually suffer an injury in that game. So before we go forward to see what the table does look like off the back of that first match day play back from the winter break, by every team we'll just check in on that injury to Yuri Bas. And it is a very, very big one. He has suffered a broken ankle and is going to be out for 3 to 4 months. We're definitely going to send him to a specialist. But that now means we might need to go looking for a lone left back for the rest of the season. So hopefully, if we get any injuries or suspensions to Alessandro Di Renzo, we're not too weak in that area. But that's a big injury there to Yuri Bas, adding to the misery off the back of our first loss of the season at Augsburg. And going forward a few clicks off the back of that first loss of the season, this is what the table does look like off the back of that first game back from the winter break. 10 points clear of Bochum, a further 3 points back still to Augsburg, so certainly still in a very strong position, and hopefully we can pick our form back up with the likes of Campanelli, Colli as well as Di Renzo coming back into that team for the next game and hopefully get back on track, especially as our next couple of fixtures are against some teams down the bottom end of the table. But unfortunately, it won't be an unbeaten season for us here at Lokomotive Leipzig. A 3-2 loss to Augsburg, but still through the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal. So things not too bad as I said, but we might need to look for a left back to come in and replace Yuri Bas with that broken ankle. But that will do it for today's episode, the first one back from the winter break. Unfortunately, suffer our first defeat of the season, but we are through to the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal for the first time. If you did enjoy today's episode with that transfer update as well, then do remember to go down below, leave a thumbs up on the video, and if you haven't done so already and are enjoying the series here on the channel, also consider hitting that subscribe button and turning that notification bell on as well. I'm not too sure exactly when we'll come back for the next episode. It probably depends if anything big happens during the remainder of the transfer window, but as I said, our next couple of games are against teams who aren't doing that well, so it's a really good chance for us to get back on track. Also, of course, if that form from that Augsburg game continues kind of like what happened last season, we'll probably come back a little bit sooner than what we would otherwise. But 2 good games to try and bounce back coming up in the month of January there against Darmstadt and Eintracht Braunschweig, both in the relegation zone. Then off the back of deadline day, Werder Bremen at home looks like our toughest one. Then Kaiserslautern and Grufer Fürth. All those games should be fairly winnable, and I think we'll come back. It should be a situation here of just not bottling things and making our way up to the Bundesliga as champions for next season. But I think we'll come back in late February, update you guys on any transfer window stuff that did happen around deadline day, and take part in the quarterfinals of the DFB Pokal. Still not sure who we're going to be playing in that game and where it's going to be played, but these other teams who we could get drawn against: Hamburg, Dortmund, Freiburg, Bayer Leverkusen, Eintracht Frankfurt, Stuttgart or Hanover. Certainly won't be scared of most of those teams off the back of our wins so far in that competition. So maybe we can even make our way through to the semi-finals. That would be something. And we'll also see how much money we get for making it that far in that competition. And then a big game at the end of February off the back of that quarterfinal. We take on Bochum in what could be a first versus second clash. If we can win that game, that might be enough for us to have one hand on the 2 Bundesliga trophy, and hopefully as well by that stage we'll be pretty much safe to be going up to the Bundesliga for next season. But the plan, I think, will be to come back for the quarterfinal of the DFB Pokal and that top of the table clash against Bochum, unless our form goes off the cliff off the back of that loss to Augsburg, and also if some weird stuff happens in the remainder of the transfer window. But the plan, as I said, will come back in late February for that DFB Pokal quarterfinal and that top of the table clash against Bochum. So until then, thank you very much for watching, keep on keeping on, and I'll see you then. Cheers.
Thought I could do this, laugh through the sadness. Don't know